What's going on, everybody? This is your boy B&B, Black Man Boating. I'm the host of the B&B Show. As you guys know, man, big supporter, big cheerleader of AMC, GME, HYMC, and others. Primarily, I'm here to talk about AMC. I'm here to talk about the movies and stuff like that. But as I've admitted previously, I didn't have a really big interest in politics. I just did not. It started to get a little bit more when Barack Obama was running for office, got a little bit more, but then this year comes around and man, my political awareness has increased, and now I am really interested in what's going on, especially with Trump coming in, which I think is great. A lot of us switched from Democrat to Republican and voted for President-elect Trump. And we are very hopeful for what he's going to do. Hopefully some great things, especially in the stock market, man. We're really hoping, retail investors are really hoping that gets cleaned up and some justice is brought. But I do want to talk about what's going on in the world. I want to talk about the situation that's going on in the Ukraine and Russia with Vladimir Putin, what's happening with Biden, the Biden administration. I just want to take a look at this. I think it's very important because it seems like this is not getting the coverage that I think it should. I'm hearing about everything else, but it seems like we are on the verge of World War III. Sorry about that. And seems like people aren't really paying attention to it. I mean, I'm sure we care. I'm sure people care, but it just seems like it's not getting the attention that it should. So I want to shed a little light on it. I want to understand. I am not a political aficionado by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm not a expert at war and foreign politics or nothing like that. I'm here to understand a little bit better. So I'm doing doing my due diligence, and I know there's a lot of people out there that's just like me that's trying to understand more and more about what's going on with politics, what's going on with foreign affairs, and we want to know, especially if we're creeping closer and closer to World War III, I want to know more about this, man. So take a look, man. Just recently, it seemed like it was all good in the White House, man. Joe Biden was laughing and joking, talking to Trump, and it seems like they were going to have this great friendship, or maybe they currently have one because Biden was ousted, allegedly, and wasn't happy about it, and looked like Joe was relieved to be out of office. He's like, man, I'm done with this thing, man. And then, let's take a look. Let's take a quick look.
In a time when so much change is happening here in Washington, there was a return to tradition today at the White House. President-elect Donald Trump made a cordial fireside appearance alongside his longtime political foe, President Joe Biden. We'll get more now from CBS's Ed O'Keefe at the White House.
Given their bitter rivalry, it was an encounter many thought could never happen. But today, in front of a roaring fire, the current and future president exhibited warmth.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. And looking forward to having like we said, a smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So
good.
Welcome
Thank you
back.
very much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. And a transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim.
You're welcome.
They conferred in the Oval Office for nearly 2 hours, discussing domestic issues, plus the wars in the Middle East and Ukraine.
President Biden reinforced his view that the United States standing with Ukraine on an ongoing basis is in our national security interest.
The meeting was designed to launch the kind of seamless transition Trump didn't give Biden in 2020 as he challenged the election results. January 6th would then set off a firestorm, with Trump skipping President Biden's inauguration, the turmoil setting the tone for this year's bitter election. Now, traditionally, the First Lady also hosts a tea for her incoming successor, but Melania Trump didn't come today. Dr. Jill Biden gave Trump a handwritten letter of congratulations for Mrs. Trump and said she's ready to assist with her transition. Nora?
Ed O'Keefe at the White House. Ed, thank you. In a time when so much change is happening here in Washington, there was a return to tradition today at the White House.
So, as you saw, it was a nice meeting between President Biden and President Trump. The term "lame duck president" has been floating around forever, right? Typically, the incumbent, is basically chilling. We thought that Joe Biden wasn't running the country anyway. It kind of looks like that. It seemed like during the presidential race, he kind of disappeared. Kamala Harris was doing her thing. You would see Joe Biden here and there. Maybe he'll throw on a Trump hat. Maybe he'll call us garbage people and stuff like that. But other than that, you really didn't see Joe. So now, you take a look at what's going on in the world. I mean, take a look at this situation. The war in Russia, the war between Russia and the Ukraine is escalating. So let's take a look. What happened to the lame duck president?
A Russian lawmaker saying a move by the Biden administration as it relates to Ukraine risks starting World War III. So here's what's happening. President Joe Biden giving Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky the green light to fire long-range weaponry deep into Russian territory as 11,000 North Korean troops join forces with Russian troops. So the Russian-Ukraine issue likely to be a key focus at the G20 annual summit happening right now. We just got this on tape, Mr. Joe Biden's remarks during the first session. Let's listen in.
And finally, we all have to work to end the conflicts and crises that are eroding progress and food security around the world. Ukraine. The United States strongly supports Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Everyone around this table, in my view, should as well. And by the way, Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine led to the highest record food prices in all of history.
So let's bring in CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie Daggett. Charlie, happy Monday to you, my friend. You're live at the Pentagon. So the president really kind of digging in his heels there on Ukraine.
Yeah, morning, Reed. The Ukrainians have been asking for these weapons for months, and now they've got them. Well, actually, they've had them for a while, but now they get permission to fire them at Russian targets inside.
Okay, so they've had these weapons for quite some time. I'm seeing this in different reports. Now, when it's 60 days out from Trump taking over, now you want to allow the Ukraine to use these U.S. weapons? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me, man. It just seems like there's something nefarious going on here. I mean, the whole situation, depending on who you talk to, it seems like that whole conflict and the reason that we're involved seems nefarious, at least on our end. Once again, I'm not a political aficionado or war aficionado. I'm trying to understand as a U.S. citizen why we're spending billions of dollars on a war that most Americans don't understand. So I'm trying to get a better understanding. And now, when Trump's about to take office, you have the Biden administration, okaying the use of these U.S. weapons, which we already knew was a point of contention with Vladimir Putin. So what's really going on here? I don't know. There's a lot of opinions that's about to come up here, so take a listen.
Russia. The ATACMS that have been noted, this announcement comes out of the White House, by the way, not the Pentagon. Ultimately, they have a range of 190 miles. Now, there are other versions that fly shorter distances that release cluster bombs, and those have been used on the battlefields of Ukraine. But these are weapons that can fire inside Russia itself. So it means they're an effective standoff weapon because they're able to penetrate targets behind enemy lines. Now, where we're sort of being hinted, the words they're using is it's expected that these weapons will be used in that Kursk area, where we know there are 50,000 Russian soldiers there, 10,000 North Korean soldiers among them. And that's why we get the sense that they're going to be deployed there. They're not limited to be deployed there, but that's the sense of where these weapons will be headed first.
Talk to us about the capability.
By the way, I just need to add, this is in direct... So this is in direct response to the North Koreans, because that's the way the White House and others, these are the policymakers, right? This is the delivery system. Policymakers come from the top. It's the North Koreans that escalated it. Now, in terms of its capabilities, yes, they're not going to go into how many ATACMS that they have. There are operational security issues surrounding that, and then also around how many the United States has stockpiled or in its supplies. But they will be judicious. They can't just be firing them off in any direction. We know for a fact, or at least the intelligence is suggesting that the Russians had pulled back some of their targets to be out of the range of these ATACMS anyway, sort of in expecting that these would eventually be deployed. And the Ukrainians have been very good at developing their drone warfare in traveling further distances. But yes, as I said, on that battlefield around that Kursk area, taking out supply lines, logistics, troops, artillery positions, that is where they can be effective, and they're incredibly difficult to intercept.
And this green light really comes as President Joe Biden wraps up his time as president. Any forecast into the future, what could happen when President-elect Donald Trump becomes president?
No, Reed, and they're so careful here not to put a political spin on this, but we have to keep in mind, because the question is why now, right? So you'd have to ask the White House, but it comes, more than a week after the election. It was a political issue. Nobody here is certain exactly, because of the information that they're getting, what the incoming administration is going to do in terms of treatment and resupply of Ukraine. And I asked a few days ago if there was a sort of hurry-up offense, because there are lots of weapons and financial aid, military financial aid, headed to Ukraine, or whether that's going to have to be done by mid-January. They said, look, we're just working on our own schedule. But yes, you have to ask yourself that question. Why has it happened now? And are they trying to get it out before, January 20th, where maybe there would be different decisions based on supplying specifically these weapons? It's been a hot potato, because there are some that believe that using U.S.-made weapons to fire at targets inside Russia is a clear escalation and a provocation to President Putin.
CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata, thank you so much for getting us up to speed on that issue. We'll see you back here, I'm sure.
Yeah, so why now? Why now? This is an issue that's going to impact everyone. A world war impacts everybody. So I don't want a world war. I'm sure most people don't want a world war unless you benefit from it somehow. Unless, I don't know, unless you're a congressman that invests in companies that produce military weapons. Who knows? Maybe it's a situation like that. But
Congressman Gates offered to take us on a tour.
So one of the committees where people have a lot of information is the Appropriations Committee, because they can view almost any vector of government funding. And so, this is Mr. Rutherford's office. He's on the Ethics Committee and the Appropriations Committee. 152 stock trades. Stocks go through the roof. And, actually bought Raytheon stock the day that Russia invaded Ukraine.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, imagine if every American could make money off of war.
Yeah, setting aside the whole shame and ethics questions. How many more on our hit list here?
There are a few more. I wish there were fewer on the hit list. I wish we could only stop at one or two offices, but as it turns out, energy is a sector that sees a lot of congressional stock trading.
Sure.
And we have members who are on the Energy Subcommittee of Appropriations, like Michael Guest, chairman of the Ethics Committee, and he's traded somewhere between tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars in energy stocks. He's been buying online gaming stocks and just making a killing on them. So you would think that the people that were on the Ethics Committee would be your best allies in this fight, but indeed they're some of the most prolific traders. And not only trading, but in the case of Mr. Guest, trading in an area where he has access to energy information more so than almost any other American.
And no indication that he wants to maybe slow down, pump the brakes, recognize that there might be some appearance of impropriety here?
It seems as though the pace is only accelerating.
All right.
But just think it's interesting. Why now? It doesn't make any sense, especially with Biden being on his way out, and he's kind of been an absentee president as of late, especially during the election. So why now? You have some people speculating that this decision is not coming from him, but of course, he's going to be the one that's going to take the blame and take the fall for this, right? Who knows who's pulling the strings? Once again, there's a lot of speculation that Biden is not pulling the strings. So, man, I'm hoping for peace. I'm hoping for world peace. Seriously, man, I'm hoping for world peace. We want peace for our families. So I want peace for other people's families. You want to live a good, beautiful life. I wish that for everyone. So another thing I wanted to point out here, take a look here, because before I would hear a lot of remarks about President Trump. Let's just be honest, man. There was a lot of things that was said about him that were inflammatory. They were remarks that did not need to be said. A lot of them were lies. They were just trying to make the man look horrible. So one of the things that I heard that was thrown around is if President Trump is elected, he is going to start World War III. That President Trump will be the one that escalates this, and he would be the person that finally gets it done, right? We're going to start World War III. That's the message I would hear from a lot of Democrats, amongst other things that they would say. But that was one of the things that now it pops back up into my memory. So not only did Trump say that about Joe Biden, which actually it looks like is coming to fruition, or at least the start of it, but Biden also said it about President Trump.
We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win.
We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and...
So this was during the debate. This is right before, which I think this debate was probably the deciding factor of why they pulled the plug on Joe. Said, Joe, you up out of here. We're going to insert Kamala Harris. I don't think Joe was very happy with that, but that's pure speculation. I don't know. But that's what it looks like, right? So here, Donald Trump says that, hey, Joe Biden is going to get us into World War III. Joe Biden says the same thing about Trump. And I heard a lot of Democrats say that about Trump, that Trump, if we elect Trump, all of these bad things are going to happen, including World War III. But it looks like that's what Joe Biden is going to do, or is trying to do, or at least he's taken, or it looks like it, right? He's going to be the one that's blamed. Why in the world would you lift restrictions on U.S. military weapons to use against Russia? We want to de-escalate that situation. I don't want a world war. You don't want a world war. Especially if you have families. You don't want this type of stuff affecting your family or other people's families. So let's take a look here, man. Here we go. Take a look here, man. This right here clearly lets you know the position of President Donald Trump.
We have never been closer to World War III than we are today under Joe Biden. A global conflict between nuclear-armed powers would mean death and destruction on a scale unmatched in human history. It would be nuclear Armageddon. Nothing is more important than avoiding that nightmare. We will avoid it, but we need new leadership. Every day this proxy battle in Ukraine continues, we risk global war. We must be absolutely clear that our objective is to immediately have a total cessation of hostilities. All shooting has to stop. This is the central issue. We need peace without delay. In addition, there must also be a complete commitment to dismantling the entire globalist neocon establishment that is perpetually dragging us into endless wars, pretending to fight for freedom and democracy abroad, while they turn us into a third world country and a third world dictatorship right here at home. The State Department, the defense bureaucracy, the intelligence services, and all of the rest need to be completely overhauled and reconstituted to fire the deep staters and put America first. We have to put America first. Finally, we have to finish the process we began under my administration of fundamentally reevaluating NATO's purpose and NATO's mission. Our foreign policy establishment keeps trying to pull the world into conflict with a nuclear-armed Russia based on the lie that Russia represents our greatest threat. But the greatest threat to Western civilization today is not Russia. It's probably, more than anything else, ourselves and some of the horrible USA-hating people that represent us. It's the abolition of our national borders. It's the failure to police our own cities. It's the destruction of the rule of law from within. It's the collapse of the nuclear family and fertility rates like nobody can believe is happening. It's the Marxists who would have us become a godless nation worshiping at the altar of race and gender and environment. And it's the globalist class that has made us totally dependent on China and other foreign countries that basically hate us. These globalists want to squander all of America's strength, blood, and treasure, chasing monsters and phantoms overseas while keeping us distracted from the havoc they're creating right here at home. These forces are doing more damage to America than Russia and China could ever have dreamed. Evicting this sick and corrupt establishment is the monumental task for the next president, and I am the only one who can do it. I'm the only one that can get the job.
Does that sound like a president that wants war, or does that sound like a president that wants to de-escalate? Does that sound like a president that is pushing for World War III? This is the lies that they push, the narrative that they try to create. Donald Trump wants the end of this conflict between the Ukraine and Russia. And I believe that he is the person that can actually do it. I think there's a lot of truth. I agree with everything he said there. And I think there is, there's a lot of truth in what he says, that they don't respect, Biden on the world stage, that President Trump is a person that will end conflict and show power. I think Donald Trump wants America to be first. America first. I think that's it. Donald Trump loves this country, and he's trying to do the things that will bring America back to, a level that we were once at, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of security, securing our borders, in terms of respect from the world, from all around the world. It seems like this administration that we're currently in, we have become a joke. We really have. Donald Trump wants what's right and what's good for America. That's what I believe. I believe he loves this country just like I love this country, and just like the majority of us love this country, and we want what's best for our country. So, let's take a look here. One of the speakers here is our brother Charles Payne. As we know, Charles Payne has been a huge advocate for retail investors. That's why we have a lot of respect for Charles. And he gives him, and along with the other people that are talking about this situation, they're very insightful, and I pretty much agree with them all. Take a look.
Breaking news out of the war in Ukraine. Fox News can confirm that Ukrainian forces have struck Russia using long-range U.S.-made missiles. President Biden approved their use just days ago. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin is approving a revised nuclear doctrine that lowers the threshold for a nuclear response. Meanwhile, our NATO allies, Finland and Sweden, are now telling citizens to prepare for war. Sweden out with this new video informing residents on how to stockpile food, baby food, medication, and how to seek shelter during a nuclear attack. Sweden also sent out more than 5 million of these pamphlets there on your screen. And Finland posted one on its website, both urging citizens to prepare for the possibility of war and how to prepare for such. Kara, frightening developments. What do you say about this?
You have parts of the world that's much closer to the conflict. They are taking this situation very serious. You know, I'm not really seeing that over here. I mean, for the most part, I'm not seeing it. Not many people. More people talking about Diddy. There's more people talking about Diddy and his Diddy oil. So I don't know, man. This thing's escalating.
Specific response by Finland and Sweden.
Well, I think it's going to further impress upon them the need to really take control of their own security situation. As we know, the United States has been providing that security blanket for a lot of these NATO countries for so long. This is a wake-up call. You know, you don't want to be alarmist, but whenever Putin says something that references nuclear powers, and those ATACMS, they're U.S. supplied. So I think that is something to consider. So we need to think very seriously, not saying it's World War III, but NATO does need to start taking more responsibility for its own situation. Trump he's articulated that, and so far it looks like, okay, they're going to. So this is probably the first step in that direction in a very tactical way, but just investing in those, the increased percentages of what we really need to have a geopolitical situation that is better for the United States, frankly, and better for Europe. I think they're going to start going there. I don't like this escalation. New national security advisor incoming said it best when this is an escalation ladder. We don't know where it leads. I think that's very correct. But I also think that we have an opportunity with Trump and his new team to come in and right the ship. And I believe that we'll do that. We don't want this axis to grow, North Korea, Iran, China. But I think with Trump going to be in office January 20th, we are going to be in a better situation than we actually are right now, God willing.
I think the world has lost respect for us. I think there's a lot of truth to that. People have said it. I've heard a lot of people say this. And I agree. These countries have really lost respect for us under this administration. I think when you look at Donald Trump shows strength. Donald Trump shows leadership, in my opinion. I think that these countries respect that. I think they respect Trump. You can have your opinion, and that's great, but I feel that Donald Trump is going to end this war. That's what I believe.
So, Charles, Kara mentions the escalation ladder. Right. I mean, the top rung is telling your citizens to prepare for nuclear war. And not since the Cold War has that been sort of accepted as practice. And it's been an incredibly long time since that incredibly frightened state of hysteria that the country was in. And that's where Finland and Sweden are now.
That's where they are now. It's sort of Sunday morning quarterbacking, but the Biden administration mishandled this from the beginning, right? I mean, they had over a year of knowledge that the invasion was going to happen, did absolutely nothing. Nothing to deter Russia, zero. Then once it happened, they made a series of clumsy moves. Economically, they took Russia off a system that everyone in the world uses. And a lot of folks say, you know what, I never want the U.S. to take me off it. That, now we have a big counterforce economically that's happening. In the meantime, we gave Russia the weapons they needed too late. And this is a move of desperation right now. This is a move of desperation. And that's when things escalate out of control, when they become desperate. And we're in a dual race right now before this becomes something where America is actively involved in, in another world war or somehow some sort of armistice or treaty is met. But they're right now, it's an equal race, in my opinion, and Trump can't get in there soon enough. Now, here's the good news. Russia, their reserves have gone down dramatically recently. Germany finally said we won't take your natural gas. How the hell were they buying natural gas from Russia in the first place? So a lot of things are going against Russia right now, but it's escalating. And you mentioned the evil axis or the new axis of evil. I read somewhere to potentially 100,000 North Korean soldiers being involved. So it's got to be nipped in the bud or it's going to be out of everyone's control soon.
So, and posturing, though, Kayleigh, if we talk about the posturing of Putin and the mission creep we talked about yesterday, the North Koreans, but the reality is Finland and Sweden are telling their citizens now to prepare for nuclear war, and that seems incredibly hyperbolic. Or is reality truly there right over a fine line? Is that where we really are?
It is where we are.
Yes, ma'am.
Biden has made a mess of the world. He is like the child in the candy store that cannot stop breaking things. Look, when you...
Like the child in the store that cannot stop breaking things. Once again, I ask, why now? Why now? You should be coasting. You should be coasting, man. Your administration is almost up. You got about 60-some days, something like that, roughly. You should be out of here. So it leads me to believe that there's more to this. I can't possibly wrap my head around it, man, but I don't think that this is just purely Joe Biden. It can't be. Can't be. There's something else that's going on here. It's purely speculation on my part. I don't work for the government. But this here, just the timing of it just seems off right before you leave office. Wow.
You look back, Obama warned Trump about North Korea in their Oval Office meeting. Well, what happened with North Korea? Trump made relations better. They stopped firing missiles after he met with North Korea. Then you have Biden lecturing him on the Ukraine war. Meanwhile, Russia says, we're ready to talk. So now Biden thinks it's time to get long-range missiles into Russia when they indicate to the incoming administration they are ready to talk and maybe wrap up this war somehow. I mean, the Taliban wants a new chapter. Hamas wants an end to the war immediately. China wants peaceful coexistence. That's because the peace through strength guy, Donald Trump, is coming back. He just started receiving intel briefings, according to the Washington Post. He got his first one shortly after his election. January 20th can't come soon enough. It's time for the kid in the candy store to go home and just sit back and think about what he's done.
Look, I'm with Carol.
I agree. Peace through strength. That's Donald Trump. When you think about Donald Trump on the world stage, peace through strength. I mean, look at us now. We're sending billions and billions of dollars over to the Ukraine, once again, to a war that we have speculation of what, excuse me, we have speculation of what that really is. There's a lot of people who have speculation of what that really is and what we're really doing over there. So now Trump wants to end this war. Peace through strength. He wants to end this war. And it almost looks like a lot of things are happening here, right? I mean, you can say, okay, well, maybe he's trying to sabotage Donald Trump's presidency right out the gate. Who knows? Who knows what it is? But the timing just seems really, really suspect.
On this, and Nikki Haley has said it too, the former U.S. ambassador to the UN for the United States. We know that she had firsthand experience. When a dictator tells you what he's going to do, he's going to do it. Mm-hmm. And so now we have poked the bear. 62 days until Inauguration Day, Biden decides to do what he could have done 999 days ago when this started. And remember, I'm not going to say that his words caused Russia to invade Ukraine. Let's just say they didn't help. Minor incursion. This is the man who said that in the face of a dictator saying what he was going to do. And now in the face of a dictator saying, if you land a missile in Russia and it's got a U.S. marking on it, that's an act of war. Who doesn't believe him? Now, I know that things have gotten a little dicey for their economy, and you're absolutely right about that, Charles. But we don't know the input capacity of North Korea. They're not martyrs necessarily, But for a government to get away from that level of communism and distrust and abuse of its citizens, maybe they would go to Russia to fight with some hope of getting freedom one day. You don't know what their impulse is. There certainly are reportedly a number of them on the ground inside of Russia now. So they're hitting today for the first time with Biden doing what he could have done to help Ukraine 2.73 years ago. And remember, Finland and Sweden have a reason to worry. So do we, by the way. When one attacked equals all of us attacked, right. Article 5, that enshrines us as a collective. We have to fight. This is too much. Biden has always been too much and too little too late. It's an odd, dangerous combination.
Yeah. Well, remember, he promised us in 2020 that the adult was coming back in the Oval Office, and clearly the adult is returning January 20th. And we hope that this Ukraine situation doesn't end like Afghanistan did, which is
we pray
horrifyingly. Yeah. Hey, everyone, I'm Emily.
The adult returns, right? This just seems childlike. I don't know. I just don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. There's so many things that runs through my mind about what Joe Biden and his administration is doing right now. We want a de-escalation. We want an end to this war. We're not trying to sit up here and provoke Vladimir Putin further. This is crazy. It's reckless. It's so irresponsible. It's irresponsible. You know, this is something that should get the attention of us American citizens. This is serious business. We should all have our eyes on this. We should definitely have our eyes on this, and we should definitely give our opinion on this. We want an end to this war. We don't want this to continue and then develop into a world war. Now everyone is affected by it, right? Let's take a look at the foreign news. There's news agencies abroad, they cover this. And like I said before, we're looked at as a joke in this world. America, at one point, man, we were the superpower that was respected throughout the world. You might not have liked us, but you respected us. Now, we seem to be a joke. Well, we are a joke to a lot of countries and a lot of people. On top of that, a lot of countries hate us. So we the people, man, we the people have voted. We the people want what's in the best interest of our country. We the people love our country. This is an American problem, not a Republican or Democrat problem. This is a problem for all of us. Let's take a listen.
Joe Biden has emerged after the Democrats' humiliating defeat to carry out the final weeks of his presidency. But it seems he's not leaving the White House quietly. Joe Biden made his biggest announcement in a long time yesterday, and it has a lot of people very scared. The president has given the all clear for Ukraine to use US-supplied missiles in their war against Russia, which Sky News contributor Joe Siracusa says is...
Real quick, what is Joe doing in the jungle? Have you guys seen that video? What is our president doing in the jungle, man? What is really going on?
Is absolutely reckless and a mistake.
Just while I've got you, Joe, reports the Biden administration has given approval for Ukraine to use American weapons to strike deeper into Russia. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's absolutely reckless. President Biden has shown a Russophobe hatred of Russia for the past 10 years, and he hasn't talked to Biden. He hasn't talked to President Putin, I think, in about 2.5 years. Look, it's a mistake, you know, to give the Ukrainians this authority so close to what I think are going to be diplomatic negotiations and a settlement here. I think is a little bit on the reckless side. On the other hand, Putin's decision to bring in 10 to 12,000 North Korean soldiers may have also been a mistake too, because it strengthened President Biden's hand. But there's no doubt in my mind that that order will be rescinded as soon as President Trump comes in. But, you know, it's January 20th at noon. Between now and then, Joe Biden can do what he wants, and you know, the world will be damned. So I think we have to watch this very, very carefully.
Republicans have slammed the announcement, with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene saying Biden is trying to start World War III right before he leaves office. She said on his way out of office, Joe Biden is dangerously trying to start World War III by authorizing Ukraine to use US long-range missiles into Russia.
But really, this looks like Biden. It's reminding me of a primary school child who's trying to do a year's homework in the last week of term.
Sky News host Caleb Bond agrees, saying this escalation could have happened 2 years ago.
He could have allowed that to happen 2 years ago when the war started, right? So the argument that, we just want to make sure this war is ended by Ukraine winning doesn't wash, because you could have done that from the very beginning. They're also using the argument, now you've got North Korean troops in Russia, so it's escalated even further. Well, you could have stopped the North Korean troops potentially from going in there if you'd let them fire those rockets 2 years ago.
And bizarrely, despite the announcement being released to the media, Joe Biden didn't want to talk about it, instead wandering off aimlessly into the Amazon and ignoring reporters' questions, reveals Sky News host James McPherson.
Last week, Donald Trump met Joe Biden in the White House, where they had quite an amicable meeting. In fact, Joe Biden looked quite happy to see Donald Trump, and Biden promised Trump that there would be a smooth transition of power. Well, now I'm not so sure, because this week Joe Biden has authorized Ukraine to use American missiles to strike targets deep inside Russia. 2 years this war has been going on, and Joe Biden waits until he's got just 2 months left in the White House to allow Ukraine to really take it up to the Russians. Trump had promised, of course, to end this war within a day if he was elected president. Donald Trump Jr. tweeted, "The military-industrial complex seems to want to make sure they get World War III going before my father has a chance to create peace and save lives. Got to lock in those trillions. Life be damned. Imbeciles." Joe Biden was not making this announcement.
Don Jr., is he right? Are they trying to lock in those trillions? Because, we've heard that there's a lot of money in war. There's a lot of money in conflict between countries. There's a lot of money in war. And who's going to develop all these, and who's going to manufacture all these weapons? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, especially if you have a world war. I agree with Don Jr., man. I agree with him 100%. Something to think about, right? Think about that, man. Who cares about human life as long as we make money? Who cares? Sounds familiar, right? Sounds familiar, right? Retail investors don't care about people and their livelihoods and their money. As long as the powers that be, the corrupt powers that be, the corporations, as long as they make money, it's okay. Who cares? Who cares if human life is lost, right? Horrible.
Though, while that was being announced, Biden was in Brazil at the Amazon jungle talking not about the Ukraine war, not about allowing American missiles to be fired deep into Russia, which could start World War III. No, he was talking about something much more important.
Now, where's Joe going? Where is Joe going, man? Can somebody please answer this question for me? Where is our president going?
That was the most bizarre way to finish a press conference.
Where is he going?
Wandered off into the jungle. I'm not sure we'll ever see him again. Of course, it's prompted many, many memes. This was my favourite one doing the rounds today. Imagining that it's an episode of Survivor and Joe Biden's just being voted the weakest link.
Joe Biden has emerged after the Democrats' humiliating...
Come on, man. Absolute joke. That's how we're viewed, right? We're viewed as an absolute joke abroad. It's crazy, man. So, as you can see, It doesn't make any sense to the world. People reporting on this, it don't make no sense to them. It don't make no sense to me. It don't make no sense to the majority of the people. I think Don Jr. hit it right on the head. You know, if you stand to make trillions of dollars, if you stand to profit, well, if that's all you care about, if your moral compass is corrupt, and you don't give a damn about human life, you don't care, you just want money. You don't care who's killed in these wars, women and children, soldiers. So it's unbelievable, man. The things that you find out as you dig a little bit more, all the corruption, all the people that are in power who don't give a damn about you, man. Don't give a damn about the world. They'd rather see the world burn than to save it. Wow. This man, this should sound the alarms. This should sound the alarms in your brain. This should sound the alarms for all of us. We the people got to stand up. We have to take notice. We have to speak out on this. We have to make sure that we are involved. We have to make sure we're involved in the conversation and understand what's going on. I know we've spoken in terms of electing Donald Trump back as the president. We have spoken in that regard. This right here is serious. I don't know what exactly what they're trying to do. Of course, we can all speculate what's going on, but this should worry us. I don't want to go to war. I don't want to be involved in a world war. This is nuts. We want peace and, you know, prosperity and the pursuit of happiness and attaining happiness and obtaining financial success and just live a great and beautiful life, right? That's what I want for myself, and that's what I want for you. You know, the hell with all this. Can't, you know, President Trump, we need you, man. We need you to get in here and stop this madness. Stop this madness. You guys over here playing games with this man right here, like Vladimir Putin is some punk or something, dude. He's a serious dude. He deserves to be respected, regardless of how you feel about the man. This is a serious person. He deserves to be respected, man. You know, we don't want no problems. I don't want no problems. Shit, I want to live a good life. I want you guys all to live a good life and have a peaceful, beautiful life, man. Just something to think about. These is just my thoughts on this. I'm like, man, I'm not really seeing much coverage about the potential of World War III. It's not loud. It's not out there. You know, something happens with Diddy. It's everywhere. Everybody wants to hear about that, man. You know, or whatever celebrity leaving the country. we hear all about that. Or they delete their X account. We're hearing all about that. Man, this right here, this is what we should be focused on. You know, this is insane, man. I wish for world peace, and God bless America. God bless us all, man. God bless our families. God bless the citizens of America. And I'm looking forward to when the inauguration of President Donald Trump once again. Let's make America great again. Let's do it. Let's do it, y'all. Peace and love.
The Kremlin says President Biden's decision to let Ukraine fire missiles deep into Russia could lead to a world war. Biden's approval of the weapons deployment marks a large shift in policy as the conflict in the region nears its 1,000th day.